Good morning, everybody. It's Joe. I'm live again. I know I was just live a couple minutes ago, but I'm challenging myself to do more lives rather than creating long form content. And yesterday, I got the beautiful privilege of going to Christina Bueri's client appreciation lunch at the Mansion in O Street down in DC. It was really awesome. She's a class act. She's generous. She's giving. She's a badass. She's raised a great family, and she has tons of people around her that she inspires. And I got to see that yesterday. She sat me at an awesome table. And that awesome table was full of confident, amazing, very attractive, very outgoing, and wonderful women. And after the lunch, we were still sitting there eating some desserts, and the conversation became around dating. So these are women who are more mature, right? They're 40 and older, several of them were, and they were talking about what it was like to date after their divorce. And one of the women was just going off on all these stories. And of course, I was learning so much. So her story and the general consensus at the table was that as an adult, men have now more power, more toys, more success, more money, and they're consumed by the material mask, one of these masks of masculinity that Lewis Hughes talks about in his book, The Masks of Masculinity, which I wrote about in the last couple of weeks and did some lives about and exposed how I wear my masks or have worn them in the past. And so the material mask is when a man shows up and he hides behind all of his material success and all the wealth he's built and all of the things that he has, the cars, the toys, the jewelry, the homes. And it's shallow. And women see right through it. So her story was about this man that in many ways she thought was somewhat interesting. She went on a second date with him. And on this second date, he started talking about the boat that he had that he just sold. And he started talking about his Mercedes and how it was supposed to be white glove service. And when he first got his Mercedes, there was fingerprints in it. And so he sent it back 3 times and asked them to give him another Mercedes. And he started talking about his ex-wife and how much money it costs and all of this stuff that really, he could have shown up as someone who was generous and thoughtful and grounded in the power of what he's created in the world, but instead he was hiding behind this material mask. She was laughing about it, but I could tell that she was frustrated because she said, I haven't been dating for a while because my early experiences after divorce left me with such a bad taste in my mouth. And all the other women around the room, these beautiful, amazing, badass women, they were agreeing. They were like, yeah, why do men do this? What's going on? And so I was joking. What's up, George? Good to see you again today, man. So I was joking with them and I was like, hey, sounds like he's one of my clients. That's exactly what I teach men to do, is to talk about their Mercedes and their Porsche and their boat and to talk about their watches and how much money they spent on their ex-wife and all this stuff. And of course it was a joke, but the one who was most outspoken turned to me and actually said, what would you tell men about dating? And of course I told her, every man is different. So there's not one blanket statement I can give to all men. But for the men that are more successful in life and they find themselves now back in a place of dating and they're talking about all their money and they're talking about their assets and they're trying to do that to impress a grown, successful woman who's got money and power of her own and confidence, that I would first say that's not going to work. It's time to actually talk to your female friends or even your family members about what women are actually attracted to in men. Because men, we believe these lies about attraction. We believe these lies about things that women are attracted to. We think what the consumer media taught us, right? I just talked about consumer to creator. And to be a good consumer, we're taught that we need to be strong, powerful, good athletes, amazing looking, that we need to have money and success and power, or that no women will find us lovable, desirable, fuckable, whatever you want to call it, right? And it's complete bullshit. So we need to actually uneducate ourselves about what we were taught we'd be valued for, what we'd be loved for. And then I said, with that man, with a guy who's flaunting all of his material success, it's actually time to have him think about what is attractive, what is desirable about you, what is lovable about you, what can you provide for a woman that you're entering into a romantic relationship with that has nothing to do with money. And I do this with my clients because a lot of my clients, to afford coaching, they show up with money. And essentially he needs to come up with a list of like 20 qualities or ways of being that have nothing to do with his money, that women really gain value from. And he has to learn to practice living into them. And he has to learn to believe them. And he has to go on dates where he doesn't talk about money. He has to go on dates where he devalues his status, where he devalues money, where he actually learns to connect and ultimately And he's never going to drop that mask of materialism until he actually learns what's lovable about him without the money, until he actually learns to connect with himself and to connect with others in a deep way when it has nothing to do with money or assets or all the fun things that can happen with what money can buy us. So that would be my advice. That's what I learned yesterday from Badass Women. I already knew this, but it was a great reminder. Women who are established, who are successful, women who have some confidence, who have some real value when you're in a mature stage of life, you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, and you're dating, they don't care that much about your money. They might care about what the money symbolizes, that you can go out there and penetrate in this world and provide value, and people are willing to pay you for that value, but they don't actually care about the money itself. They want to see you. They want you to be real. They want you to connect. They want you to be sensitive and honest and in your power as a man in a way that has nothing to do with your money. So that's what I got for you. If you've ever found yourself in the position of the material mask, or you found yourself trying to flaunt your good looks, or trying to talk about your money or your achievements or your diplomas and degrees and your alumni association or your rich friends on a date, I want you to message me. Just not to even talk about coaching, just to let me know what that feels like. So message me if you've ever experienced this, if you've tried to hide behind these masks in dating. And women, message me or comment below if you actually agree with what I'm saying, or if you have a different take on it. What would you tell men that are just showing up to a date talking about their money and their Porsches and their sailboats and their Rolex watches and all that stuff? Thanks, that's what I got. Got to hit up my 11 a.m. client here in a few minutes. I'm so excited to work with. Peace, y'all. I'm out. Comment below.